Hello Capricorn and welcome to my channel Tarot by Gabrielle. This is going to be a general reading for Sun, Moon, Rising, and Venus placements looking at your connection between you and the person that you are dealing with and are needing to learn the most from right now. We'll be pulling for all three sides of the connection, so we'll look at your energy toward it, their energy toward it, and the energy in between it. The concept being that there are three sides to every story, so we're looking at your version of the truth, their version of the truth, and this higher level unbiased truth in the middle. This middle section is looking at what is the deeper purpose of the connection and the best way for you to move forward in order to align further with your higher self. Friendly reminder that these are general readings and they are not here to resonate fully for everyone, and they won't resonate fully for everyone. So do please remember to take what does resonate and helps your personal situation and to leave what does not. On that note, and especially if you're a cross watcher, just know that this whole reading can be reversed. If that is the case for you, that is totally fine and totally normal. Again, the point is to take what helps and leave what doesn't. Last thing is that any information on the extended reading or on booking a personal reading or coaching session with me is in the description box below. All right, Capricorn, let's jump on in here. We're going to start with looking at your energy toward the person you are dealing with and are needing to learn the most from right now. Capricorn side of this connection. Shattered. Some sort of an illusion was shattered here. I feel like you saw this person in a certain light, and then something happened that made you see them in a very different light. What else here? Capricorn side of this connection. You have growth with synchronicity. Okay. So I kind of get this feeling that you're not really sure what to do or where to go from here when it comes to this connection, because I feel like you thought things were a certain way and then they turned out to be something very different. But, you know, looking back, it's kind of like I don't really know what was real or what was not or what was true or what was false. So there's a lot of confusion here. I do feel like there is a bigger purpose of this for you, especially with this growth card and the synchronicity card combined, which to me kind of means that, you know, this connection happened for a reason. You were led to this connection for a reason to help you heal, grow, evolve in some sort of way. You know, every single person that we meet is a lesson for us. It is here to help us on our journey. But this one might have just been a little bit more intense than others. And maybe that's where you're needing some clarity right now on understanding, you know, what happened, what went down, what's going on behind the below the surface. All right, this person's energy toward you, Capricorn. I don't like my tablecloth is so wrinkly. I washed it and dried it like I usually do, but for some reason, this person's energy toward you. Ego. Interesting. Okay. You know, the ego is you know, when I see this card, it typically to me means that, because there's divine timing with synchronicity again, typically means that somebody is not sitting in the energy of their most authentic self. They're sitting in the energy or displaying a facade driven by ego, which typically means that somebody's actions aren't really aligned with their true feelings. They're more aligned with their ego's preferences, which doesn't always really align with what's best for us. You know, the ego chooses what is familiar, what is predictable, what provides it with the most sense of control. And love and ego, like deep, genuine connection and ego, do not go hand in hand, because the ego, you know, craves that control and craves that ability to, you know, essentially not be vulnerable. And true, genuine connection does require vulnerability, which sometimes makes it really hard for certain people who don't know how to let go of that control and allow themselves to, you know, further a connection in a genuine way. And I feel like I don't necessarily know what happened here. But whatever it was with this divine timing card, I'm kind of seeing was like an inevitable occurrence, meaning that things aligned in this connection in a specific way for a reason, not to punish you or to hurt you in any kind of way, but to help you, again, to help you heal, grow, evolve, to move closer to the love that you truly deserve, which this might have felt like it moved you further away depending on kind of what happened and how things went down here. But let's see in between this connection, truth of this between Capricorn and this person. Truth of this connection. What is passion? Oh my goodness. And then drama. So there is a lot of intensity in this connection. I feel like you and this person, if it was romantic in nature, like did have a very intense, maybe physical attraction too, which can really, really make things even more complicated. You know, chemistry and connection do not go hand in hand necessarily, but sometimes chemistry can make things seem one way when they're not necessarily that way. Especially if you're dealing with somebody who is wearing a mask or, you know, is kind of hiding their authenticity. There's a lot of drama here in this connection, a lot of chaos, a lot of, you know, maybe back and forth, breakups, makeups, like things of that nature. And I feel like that goes along with the intensity of this. It's almost like this connection is like that perfect storm. It's like the way that it interacts with each energy interacts with the other. It's like it was perfectly made to like create chaos in some sort of way. It doesn't mean that it was all bad. Like I do feel like there are positive aspects to this, which again is probably what makes things so hard for you to understand, like what really happened, what really went down here. So there is a strong connection here. It just feels like there's kind of some missing pieces to what would be necessary for this connection to find success. But let's see. And that's just as of right now. But let's see. Overall theme of this reading for Capricorn. Never again. So some sort of cycle, a cycle that keeps repeating. And I think that the passion, it's like the chemistry keeps drawing you back in. You have trust the universe. And there, literally, I was disillusioned. I said some sort of an illusion was shattered here. So yeah, I don't necessarily know what are the specifics of this, but based on the energy, what I can see is it's like things are really good, they're really powerful, really intense. Again, chemistry, passion, you know, maybe sexual connection, whatever the case might be. And then there's some sort of argument, something that happens, you know, both people are triggered, things end up being really intense, and then, you know, driven apart in some sort of way. And maybe you sit in this energy of like, I don't want to do this anymore, like I'm so tired of this. But then again, that chemistry, that intention, that intensity, that passion kind of draws you back in. So yeah, and it's hard because it's like, I do feel like there is an illusion that you have of this person, and I don't feel as if you're completely wrong in that, meaning that the version of them that you see whenever things are good, I feel like is their potential. That is the version of them that they could be if they showed up, you know, as that person all of the time, but they don't. You know, obviously their ego comes out, certain behaviors, patterns, I don't necessarily know. We're just looking at overall energy right now. But with this Trust the Universe card, Spirit is asking you to trust that this is happening for a reason, to move you closer to the love that you do truly desire. Because I feel like one thing that I've really learned is that, you know, sometimes we meet our biggest lesson before we meet our greatest love. And sometimes we mistake our greatest we mistake our biggest lesson as our greatest love, but then once we learn whatever that's there to teach us, then we do meet the love that is, you know, beyond our wildest dreams. And there's a lot of different reasons for that, right? Like sometimes our biggest lesson can crack us open to some of our hurt and some of the ways in which we need to learn to love ourselves deeper. And you know, the more that we love ourselves, the more love we're able to let in. So it does all happen for a reason. We just have to be willing to see it in that way, which I know from personal experience can be really hard when you are dealing with something so deeply painful. But with that being said, let's look, Capricorn, at your side of this connection. I've never said that before. I've never said that out loud. Sometimes we meet our biggest lesson before we meet our greatest love. But yeah, I mean, I think that that's something that somebody in this really needs to hear, because I think sometimes we feel when things are so intense and so passionate and then they fall apart or things don't work out, we think that we like missed our shot. But it's always, everything is always preparing us for something better as long as we're willing to see how and we're willing to kind of walk that path. Capricorn side of this connection. Three of Cups in reverse with the Seven of Swords. The High Priestess. You know, it's interesting because it feels like your intuition was telling you something, was firing off about this person, something that was, you know, was off here. And I feel like there was so much, and it was like the illusion, the passion, the illusion, the chemistry. It's like it overpowered. Because, yeah, intuitively, I feel like you were like, you know, something isn't right, or something's off, or there's something going on. And you know, we do have a tendency to kind of ignore our intuition sometimes, especially when our greatest hopes feel like they're coming into fruition. Of course, you're going to be like, well, I want to give this a shot, even if I feel like something's off. Because, yeah, with the Seven of Swords, it's like this energy of something being hidden from you, this energy of, you know, not having all of the information and not fully understanding the bigger picture. And I feel like a lot of that maybe was because maybe this person was withholding, maybe there was straight up lies. I don't necessarily know, and I don't feel like that is for me to know anyway. With the Three of Cups in reverse and the Hermit in reverse, I feel like this has really deeply impacted your ability to like trust people in some sort of way. And that's understandable, but I do feel like there is a little bit of a warning of like not fully isolating yourself. And I know that that can be hard whenever we get our heart broken, especially from someone that we really, you know, pour ourselves into here. I don't know if there was like a betrayal of some sort, or like an abandonment, which I guess could technically be a betrayal as well. But I definitely feel that there was a betrayal of trust here. And I feel like that has you really second guessing you know, a lot of things, and maybe having you kind of being really on guard, which makes a lot of sense. It goes without saying, but you have the card here, the Lovers in reverse. This did not align with what it is that you deserve. And I think that the reason that this card is coming out is because Spirit wants you to know that you didn't deserve what happened in this connection, nor is it a reflection of your worth. Again, which is why I feel like you have this Trust the Universe card, which is something about, you know, trusting that this is happening for a reason, even if you're not fully able to see that right now. The Justice in reverse, straight up, I feel like you were screwed over in some sort of way here, Capricorn. I don't know what happened. I don't know what went down. Again, I don't really feel like that's for me to know. But I do really feel as if Spirit is asking you to open your heart to what, again, this is trying to teach you, so that you can open your heart to the love that you do truly deserve, because this is not a reflection of obviously what you're deserving of, nor is it a reflection of what's possible for you. And that's really important for you to know too. But there is some sort of cycle. And the cycle typically represents some sort of lesson. And when we ignore the lesson, we repeat the cycle, right? So we have to be aware of like what something is trying to teach us, so that we can learn, heal, grow, evolve, whatever it is, so that we can step into the version of ourselves that is ready for the love that we're ultimately desiring. So I do feel like Spirit's asking you to look at things from a different perspective. I know it's hard. I'm not sitting here saying that this is your fault. It definitely wasn't. Again, I don't even really know what happened, but I do feel like it was something very intense here. And again, going back to what I said when we saw this Divine Timing card and this Ego card, like kind of inevitable. So I don't necessarily know, but I definitely feel like whoever I'm speaking to does. I feel like whenever we experience, what is that lyric that just popped into my head? Don't let some hell-bent heart leave you better. I feel like that's something that Capricorn needs to know. You know, sometimes when we meet people that, you know, aren't aligned with us, that screw us over, that, you know, betray our trust, whatever the case is, sometimes we do. In those moments, we have a choice. We can allow ourselves to become the people who hurt us, or to close ourselves off from any possibility of love or openness again, or we can move beyond it. We can grow beyond it. We can heal beyond it. And I feel like you're being asked to do that right now, and to trust that it is taking you to greater heights. But what does this person got going on? I feel like I'm a little nervous. Okay, this person's energy toward you, Capricorn, Divine Timing with Ego. Oh. No? Okay. This person's energy toward you, Capricorn. Well, right out of the gate, Lovers in reverse. Oh, there's some mirroring happening here. Page of Swords in reverse. A lot of reverse cards. I feel like there was an absence of a lot of things that you really deserved here. The Page of Swords in reverse is all about, inauthenticity, holding on to or being the person that someone feels that they need to be, not who they really are. Ten of Wands, this person carries a lot. I feel like they have a lot of baggage. And I feel that that baggage tends to become the problem of the people that they're in relationships with. So yeah, it's almost like, I don't know. I literally said it. I said, don't let yourself become the people who hurt you. I feel like this person became the person who hurt them. Hurt people hurt others, right? Hurt people hurt people. So I don't necessarily know what went down, but I do definitely feel like there's some sort of repeating cycle, like I said. Whew, okay. Temperance in reverse, the Moon. This is, and then the Eight of Swords. This is really important for you to know. This person's actions and behavior weren't a reflection of their feelings toward you at all. In fact, I feel like they have stronger feelings for you than you would be able to really understand because of their actions. And again, I think that that's what makes it so complicated for you, is you're like, but they're, they said all of these things, or they did all of these things, or they are this person sometimes. And I think that, again, that person that they do show up with sometimes is the version of them that they are capable of being when they're not coming from this Ten of Wands place. This Ten of Wands, I don't know what it is that they're carrying, but it's heavy. It's a lot, things from their past, mistreatment, a lack of love, not learning how to be loved or how to love. There's a lot of different things that can be at play there. And I feel like their behavior was a reflection. It's like their behavior was a reflection of how they've been loved. And I think that we can understand that, like, people love how they've been loved. When we understand that, we can not take things so personally, because then it's like, okay, they didn't do these things to me, they did these things to themselves, right? Especially if somebody has strong feelings for us and does want something to work, but then acts in a completely different way than that, it's like, okay, they kind of screwed themselves over, right? And with this Lovers in reverse, it does feel like this person feels deeply undeserving of love. And I think that they brought out certain beliefs in you of your undeservingness in love. It feels like this person was a mirror of the ways in which you feel undeserving of love, which is kind of interesting, because I feel like, I've really learned that our relationships are a reflection of what we believe about ourselves, what we believe we're worth, what we believe we're deserving of. And up here, we might be like, I'm deserving of more. But 95% of our movements, choices, and decisions stem from our subconscious, right? So only 5% of our decisions and the way that we interact with our reality is conscious level decision making, which means that we're actually very driven by what we've been taught, by what our relationships to this point have taught us, by what our experiences have taught us about ourselves. And if we've learned that we're unlovable, that we're undeserving, that we can't have the love that we deserve and desire, what's going to happen is we're going to consciously make decisions or unconsciously make decisions to essentially prove that part of us right, because our brain really likes to be right. So you and this person, like I said, it was like this perfect storm, because it's like you're dealing with somebody who I feel like loves so deeply. I mean, you're dealing with somebody who desires to be loved so deeply, but at the same time has no idea how to let somebody else in and does everything that they can to sabotage that love that they're actually craving. Boom, perfect storm, right? Because it's like then you're fighting to love them so that they can love you well, and they're fighting to push you away, yet trying to keep you close because they desire. It's like it creates so many more issues, and there's so many things that need to be addressed individually, I feel like, before this connection could ever come together in a healthy way, because there is some sort of a cycle here that definitely needs to be broken. With this Eight of Swords here, I feel like this person is trapped in a prison of their own making. And what I mean by that is I feel like they're very driven by fear. And fear is something that is so powerful for people who are unaware that their fear is driving them, because to them it feels like logical decisions, or they make really emotional decisions, or they make decisions that go against what's best for them, but they do it because they're afraid of things being different. I've always said that the ego makes decisions that feel familiar because the ego does whatever it can to avoid fear. So if somebody's never been loved in a genuine way, if somebody's never actually experienced the love that they deserve and desire, then they're going to push it away as hard as they can and as aggressively as they can, because they are afraid of what that looks like. Their ego doesn't know how to accept that. Their ego doesn't know how to exist in those spaces. It only knows how to exist in what it's used to, right? So I said the way that this person loves is a reflection of how they've been loved. And I mean that in a very, very real and literal way. And I think that that's where, understanding where people are coming from can help a lot. Not because I'm saying, oh, give this person a chance, there's reasoning for this, but that's not what I'm saying. I'm saying this might be able to help you heal and help you understand that the things that this person did, it doesn't feel vindictive. It doesn't feel like they hurt you on purpose. In fact, I do feel with this Temperance in reverse, there is some frustration here. It's like they're frustrated by the way that they've handled this and by the way that things unfolded. They are, understanding of, I feel like the mistakes that they make, they might never own up to that. But I do definitely feel like, because again, ego will never own up to that. Because ego doesn't want you to change. Ego wants you to stay exactly the same. But I do feel like the way that this person acted, it's not a reflection of their true feelings, and it's not a reflection of what's possible for you. It is, however, a reflection of what you believe that you deserve. And I think that that is what Spirit is trying to draw your attention to, is that on some level you believe that you deserve the level of love that this person is capable of giving. And even though consciously you might have been trying to fight for more, subconsciously you felt very comfortable in this because this is actually very much a reflection of what you're used to. It's a reflection of the level of love, the kind of love, the dynamic in love that aligns with what you're used to, not with what you do truly deserve, which again is why I said there was some mirroring here, because if this person is making decisions to keep them in what's familiar, you might be doing the same thing, right? Sometimes we're very driven to our wounding and we're driven to repeated patterns, not because we want them, but because there's a part of us that feels comfortable in those spaces and in those dynamics. There's a part of us that knows how to exist in those places, even if we're miserable there. And that's why we'll ignore our intuition, is because there's this part of us that goes, no, this feels like home. But it feels like home because it's familiar, not because it's actually what's aligned with you. That's why I've always said you meet your biggest mistake, or not always said, I just said it for the first time in this video, but that's why I said you meet your biggest lesson before you meet your greatest love, is because usually the lesson involves learning the ways in which you are being asked to love and accept yourself in a way that you are looking to be loved and accepted by another person. And typically that lesson involves meeting somebody who makes you feel more unlovable and unworthy than you've ever felt before. It almost like proves all of these things, all of these beliefs that you carry about yourself and about love true. The ways in which you believe you're unlovable, you're not capable of it, you can't have it. We meet people that make us feel as if those things are true, so that we can unlearn the beliefs that have led us to those conclusions, so that we can open up to the love that aligns with what we do truly deserve instead of what we're used to. But we're going to hop on over to the extended. Like I said, you have drama and passion, so we're diving deeper into this. Looking at the deeper purpose and the best way for you to move forward in alignment with your higher self to create the love that you deserve and desire. Again, any information for that is in the description box below. Thank you so much, Capricorn, for your support of my channel. I do obviously hope that this reading helped and resonated with you in a way that you were needing today. And as always, I wish you nothing but love and healing and all of the wonderful things that you deserve and desire on your journey moving forward. Bye, Capricorn.